Hey loves, it's your girl Mariah Sincere, and I am back with another bomb live. If you are new to my channel, I'm a self-love coach who specializes in helping people radically transform their lives. My life is the proof. At the beginning of the year, I was living in Colombia, miserable. I was living in the United States, miserable as hell. But I decided I wanted to move to another country. I wanted to come to Colombia, and in 6 months, I made it happen. I made a plan and I followed through, right? And I like to think of myself as a move maker, a table shaker. So if you are interested in working with somebody that's going to help you get results, send me an email at thepassportsis@gmail.com. I have my website coming soon. That should be done within the next couple of months. That way y'all can go ahead and just go to my website and book what you need. I also do travel. So if you go in my description box, I have a channel that you can, I have a website that you can book travel through. Or if you need somebody to help you plan a trip from beginning to end, or if you want discounted rates on travel, hit me up at thepassportsis@gmail.com. I got you. So guys, remember, as y'all are coming in, hit the like button, participate in the comments. That lets me keep the conversation going and flowing. Right now, I'm just going to send out a notification letting people know that I am live. Today is going to be an interesting live, y'all. I have a couple things that I want to talk about. Hey, Olivia, how are you? Good afternoon. Are you at work, sis? I was kind of nervous about coming on at this time because I was like, everybody's going to be at work. But then I was like, well, people are at work and they're bored or their boss has gotten on their nerves. So they're like mentally checked out, like they need something to keep them going. All right. I'm going to go to my YouTube, my Instagram, because it'll post the bone. Oh, child, no, baby. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, guys. So before I get into the topics today, which we're going to talk about Young Miami and her supposedly letting us know she got a new man. Okay. We're going to be talking about the fact that they are looking into these people who attended this Diddy party, all these Diddy parties. So, the industry is real quiet, y'all. And we are also going to talk about this man who unalived his lover, and then he researched on the internet having smegs with an unalived body. Baby, people are losing their minds out here. Yes, girl, I'm in the office this week, but I'm going to listen while I go to lunch. I love your content. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. See, this type of stuff helps me keep going, okay? Because people don't understand this YouTube game. It's a slow grind. There is no quick way to the top. You just have to kind of be consistent, but sometimes you need a reason to show up. So y'all are definitely my reason to show up. Again, guys, if y'all hear a lot of noise outside, I live right in front of like a busy street and intersection. I love it when I'm not online because there's so much to do, so much food, so much life. But on the internet, All right, guys. So before I get started on my topics, I want to talk about something smaller, which is the fact that y'all know a lot of men on the internet are preaching this whole fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative message towards women. Like they said, the problem with us women in the US is that we are not cooperative. Okay. We don't do what they ask us to do. There's always arguing and pushback. And what's crazy to me is that when I go in my expat group, so for those of y'all who don't live overseas, expats are people who have left the United States and live in another country, basically. Like you're either planning to stay there or live for a long time. So you expatriate from your own country and then you immigrate to a new country. That's it. That's all. Some expats might decide to just completely renounce their US citizenship and gain citizenship in another country or get dual citizenship. So there is an expat group, and mind you, there are a lot of tourists who are in this group as well. So it's not just like expats, right? So there are people who are coming here just trying to have fun. So, for a lot of y'all who don't know, there's this weird kind of culture that goes on between expats and local people here. So if you come here with your US dollar, you pretty much have, within a matter of a day, skyrocketed to the top of the earning income here. So for example, if you make $1,000 here in Colombia, you are considered upper middle class. So imagine you have a person from the United States who's making $5,000 or $6,000 a year, and they come here to Colombia. So a lot of the times you have a lot of women who will date foreigners because it is a way out of their situation, right? With that said, you do have other Colombian women who will not date foreigners because they prefer to date Colombians, or they already come from money. So there was this guy who posted in the group, and it's so interesting how these women who are supposedly fit, feminine, friendly, and more cooperative are getting ran through. And I don't even want to say that in a derogatory way towards the women. It's just these men are having their way with them and discarding them. So I'm going to read what this guy posted. He says, and he posted anonymously, want to share an experience with a Paisa woman. Paisas are the local people here in Medellin. So it can help others if maybe in some position, and beware. That's how he said it. I met a Paisa girl in May 2023 when I stayed in Medellin for a month. We did not speak the same language, but hooked up all the time. So, boom, stop. First mistake she made there. Why are you hooking up with this man that you can't even communicate with? But this is what they like. They want to come over here and not have any pushback. The man and the woman ain't even talking. They're not having deep conversations. This is clearly, we're just getting it in. Okay. When I left, she said she fell in love with me. First red flag. Okay. I'm going to say that here in Colombia, that might not necessarily be a red flag. The women are more emotional here. They talk more like "que linda, hermosa," like they're very emotional when they talk. So I don't necessarily view that as a red flag so much as that is the norm. And she might have felt an emotional attachment to this man if she's sleeping with him all the time. Let's continue. I come back in February 2024 for Afterlife Festival. Stay at Medellin for only 3 weeks. So he's looking to party. He's just coming here to party. I learned and started speaking a little Spanish. This time I met her again and met her whole family and stayed at her home for a week. When I went back to Canada, she stated she wanted to marry me and wanted a relationship, even when we did not speak the same language. I did not fall for that and kept denying it. I did not, I'm sorry. I am back in Medellin since September and speak better Spanish, but seems like this time she is with someone else, but denies that and still wants to talk to me every day and want to meet, but not hook up. So because she's setting boundaries, now in his mind, she's hooking up with somebody else. That's why, ladies, if you want a relationship, don't hook up with a man too fast, right? Because in he's compartmentalized this. This is all supposed to be hooking up. She wants a relationship. I told her everything what I felt and stopped contacting her. Ultimately ended up blocking her contact through all mediums. Okay, guys, so this is what's really happening down here to the fit, feminine, and friendlies. Okay, these men are coming over here, having their way with a lot of them, and going back to their country or just completely disconnecting from them when they don't get what they wanted to. So he tried to make it seem like the girl was trying to run a scam on him trying to get married. that's a situation he would have dealt with in Canada, I'm quite sure, or that's something he would have dealt with in America. There are a lot of women who catch feelings and then they want something serious or want a relationship. Now, obviously, to be clear, he would have been the breadwinner in the family. That's just how that goes when you're dating a woman here. Um, Unless she's educated and she has her own, because I do know a guy who dates a Colombian woman and they go 50-50 and she's not playing about that. But with that said, he tried to paint it out as she was the bad person. Like, oh my God, I prevented myself from getting got. When it's like, sir, you were the one using her. When she set a boundary, you decided it was because she was dealing with somebody else and then blocked her. So I just want to talk to the American women and let y'all know these women are not getting treated any better with their cooperation and them being, quote unquote, easier to deal with, which is absolutely not true. Most of the men who say stuff like that don't know anything about Latina culture at all. But and again, that is not to talk down on Colombian women. All women anywhere of any race could get done like that by a man. I'm just saying this is how they want you to be able to get done over here, right? And because we're putting our foot down and saying no, that we're not going, and if you were going, you ain't going no more. Now it's the problem. All right, guys. So again, remember, as y'all are coming in, hit the like button in the chat. If y'all see me bending down, it's because I need to get another table that's higher to put my laptop on. But first things first, let's talk about Young Miami. So if y'all don't know, Young Miami is getting caught up in the whole Diddy thing. So if y'all didn't watch that interview that she did, I'm sorry, guys, I cut out for a second. So she was a bit delusional about her situation with Diddy. And part of that could be because she hadn't been with him long enough, right? I think Diddy and Young Miami might have fooled around or have called themselves dating each other for maybe 2 years max. So she definitely didn't have the longevity dealing with Diddy that somebody like a Kim Porter had, or Cassie. Cassie was with Diddy for 10 going on 11 years. So a lot of the times when we're dealing with these men who are narcissistic and creepy and freaky and nasty and has all these vices, these things slowly start to show themselves, right? So for example, I know Kim Porter's Last Word book has been taken off of Amazon. But with that said, if we're going to say that book is true, let's say it's true. We're gonna pretend it is. Um, it started with Kim Porter when Diddy, asked her to backdoor him, to enter him through the back, and then slowly it progressed, and it was after that, then he started putting her hands on her. Then she started notice, oh, he's allegedly sleeping with Clive Davis. Like there are so many things that revealed themselves over time after he had already gained her trust and then around her son, right? So it's very possible that Young Miami didn't witness that side of Diddy to the magnitude that the other women witnessed. But then there's like Lil Rob, who was coming out and saying that, he would behave volatilely in front of her at the very least. Also, it has been alleged that a woman got pregnant by Diddy while he was with Young Miami, and that Young Miami bullied the girl into getting an unaliving for the baby. So it could be said that there's some complicity there. We don't know to what extent she was dealing with Diddy, and I highly doubt that she wasn't performing any type of smegs work, especially considering that she was getting a $150,000 allowance from him every month. Allegedly, ain't no man coming up off of $150,000 for nothing, even if it is just a little bit of money to him or a drop in the bucket. You gonna do something for these dollars, baby. So Young Miami is allegedly being investigated and is going out of her way to let us all know that she has a new man and that she don't go with Diddy no more. And I'm gonna show y'all. So this is from the Shade Room. Some screenshots that Saucy Santana posted between him and Young Miami. I'm gonna share them. Okay. Give me a second. Let me make sure y'all can see that. I'm going to make myself small so that y'all can see all the messages. So the post is titled My Man, My Man, My Man. Santana shares text messages between him and Young Miami. So the caption says, Oops, Santana shared some text messages that hint at Young Miami having a new boo. So it says, ooh, Reesh, why you ain't answer? Carisha responds, I'm on the phone with my man. Here goes Santana. Carisha, please. I'm always a man. It's always a man with you. That's aggravating. The new ninja got your head gone. I'ma pray for you. Now, I don't know about y'all, but this seems staged to me. This seems like she called Santana. It was like, hey, they looking at me. My name is getting brought up in some things. They're calling me a co-conspirator. We need to let it be known. I don't fool with Diddy no more. So, hey, we gonna pretend I got a whole new man. So let's, send these text messages back and forth. The whole thing just seems unnatural and orchestrated. Okay. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm not buying it. I think her name is hot. I think her name is really hot right now. And if it was a situation like y'all remember with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, okay, so allegedly with Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell was the one like getting the girls and bringing the girls to him, right? So he ended up getting unalived in prison, but she's the one who's still alive and is doing the time, right? Because of the role that she played. She was basically, pimps call it the bottom bitch. That's what they call it. You the bottom chick, okay? So basically, she was the one in charge of gaining the trust of other women. And it's easier for women to gain trust of another woman. Most of the time, we're more guarded when it comes to other men. But this is a very popular tactic in the trafficking industry. Even a lot of times when young girls go to school, they might go to school with another young girl who's getting, pimped. And that girl's job is to go to school, befriend other little girls, hang out with them, convince them to run away from home or come to her house, and then boom, next thing you know, this other young lady is getting trafficked. Or a lot of times these girls will come to school looking fly, got the jewelry, got the purses on, hair did, and the other little girls envy her and they're like, I want to make the same amount of money. They get to talking to the girl and boom, next thing you know, they're getting taken to the pimp. So this is a very popular tactic that people honestly need to be more aware of and talk to your children about. Even here, while I'm in Colombia, I'm still very cautious, even when it comes to making female friends, because you just never know what people are tied up to. And of course, as a woman, it's way more susceptible to talk to women than some strange man in the bar. So it's just something to be aware of. Um, from my understanding of it, people had a certain window of time to come forward and speak up against Diddy before, they would be considered a co-conspirator. So the feds were like, hey, if y'all come and tell your story, we will consider you as cooperating with the investigation. While that window was open, Young Miami was doing interviews with Santana, making it seem like she didn't experience or witness that. So that window has now closed. So we are going to have to see where the chips fall for Young Miami at this point. I think it's unfortunate. I think we have to understand that there is a price to pay that comes with living that celebrity lifestyle. And I think a lot of us just felt like it was all glittering and gold. And now we're starting to see the abhorrent things that these people had to do or experience behind closed doors in order to not just get on, but stay on, because the same people that feed you can starve you. And now she's possibly going to be facing time for even being involved with this man. So let's move on. Oh, before I move on to this other story that was really interesting to me. Um, Again, I've told y'all the whole Diddy thing was it's a RICO. It's a RICO. So anybody that had financial dealings with Diddy is going to be under investigation. Allegedly Jay-Z's name is getting thrown into the mix. Now, Jay-Z is very smart. I don't see him, I don't see any evidence coming out in terms of him participating in one of them rooms at the party, the after party. I don't see that. But Diddy and Puffy had money tied up together. So it's very possible that he will be brought in to testify or something of that sort. But he's been quiet lately. A lot of the industry has been quiet. Stevie J hasn't been saying nothing. Y'all know that's allegedly P. Diddy's man. That's allegedly one of his other boyfriends. Meek, y'all, Meek Mill is getting on my nerves because every opportunity he gets to comment on the situation with Diddy or laugh under comments, he does. It's like he wants people to know that that's his man. Y'all know how a thirsty side chick act when she want to be associated with a man and she not the main chick. That's how Meek Mill is acting. Who else? I told y'all yesterday, Charlemagne came out trying to defend Diddy yesterday. I don't know what that's about. I'm wondering if he was at one of those parties. Y'all remember TD Jakes a few months ago got thrown in the mix? I'm wondering if his name is going to come up again. But trust and believe, other names are going to get thrown into this off of the simple fact that it is a RICO. Just think of the YSL case and all these people that have been brought into that trial. It's been so long, and it's constantly name after name and person after person being pulled into it. Now, most of these people were in the streets, but you had some industry people being brought into it as well. Now, that was with Young Thug. Imagine P. Diddy, who all he really hung around was the rich, wealthy, and famous and industry people. His parties were industry parties. So this didn't just start and end in New York. This spanned over a long period of time in multiple states. So I will be very interested to see whose name gets brought into the mix. Okay, so let me go ahead and put my headphones on because we are going to talk about an interesting case. Now, I want to put a quick disclaimer out there. I am not anti-LGBTQ, none of that. I support people living in their truth. I support people being who they are. I have more respect for a man who comes out and says that he likes other men or he likes to play both sides. I respect that man more than a straight man who has a wife and a kid at home, but he's going out cheating all the time. The dude that is in the alphabet community who is being himself is more of a real ninja than the dude who lays next to a woman every night and he got a whole different family on the other side of town. Okay, so let me be clear about that. With that said, there have been several allegations made against like Black women in particular, where people are saying we're the reasons why these DL men can't live their truth, because once we find out that they're DL, we don't want to date them. Well, that's called This Is Life. And people have choices. There are people who won't date me because I'm not the same race as them. There are people who won't date me because I don't have blue eyes. There are people who won't date me because I might weigh too much for them. There are people who won't date me because we don't come from the same socioeconomic class. Y'all understand? People have the right to choose not to date you for whatever reason. You can't blame other people for you not being yourself. So I want to put that out there. Another thing that is being said is, well, there are women that want to date these men who are DL or swing both ways, but they're not the type of women that these DL men want. You know, these women are usually, you know, I don't want to say that, but they're not the type of women that they want. Well, women who are classy and keep themselves up, 9 times out of 10 are not going to want to date a man who is going to put her at risk for certain type of STDs, and is not going to want to date a man that's sleeping with men. I'm sorry, we're just not. So I'm going to pull up this story. Hopefully I don't have to go anywhere. Here we go. All right, so before I play the video, it says Philadelphia man living on the down low convicted after he fatally pew-pewed secret lover, burned body to hide relationship, and Googled smegs with unalived bodies. So it says a 20-year-old man just starting out in life was blindsided when a man he was having a sexual relationship with unalived him in cold blood. In fact, 23-year-old Kylan Pratt Googled unaliving in cold blood and other gruesome things after allegedly unaliving Nasir Johnson, who visited him in his home back in February. Investigators say Pratt tried to hide the relationship. On Friday, Pratt was convicted of first-degree unaliving, abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and possession of an instrument of crime, the Philadelphia District Attorney Office said, Law and Crime reports. Johnson reportedly took an Uber to Pratt's home to meet up, but when he got there, Pratt pew-pewed him in the neck, wrapped his body up in plastic, and drove the body to Fairmount Park before lighting Johnson on fire. Pratt's cell phone revealed that he made several suspect Google searches from the traits of a psychopath, having sex with dead bodies, and unaliving in cold blood. When the police investigated, they found a lot of blood, a sizable portion of the carpeting that had recently been heavily bleached in Pratt's home, according to prosecutors. They also found the unaliving weapon. Make no mistake, this unaliving of Nasir Johnson was a hate crime. Kylan Pratt did not want anyone to know of his romantic involvement with the victim, Assistant DA Sidney Pope said in a statement. All right.
Message. Justice is served. A jury convicting a man of murder all over romance. And a warning, some of the details of the story may be disturbing to hear.
Cheyenne Corinne is live for us at Philadelphia Police Headquarters. Cheyenne, we heard from the family of the 20-year-old victim tonight. What are they saying?
We did, Sheba, and it was very emotional. But they do have some closure now that the man who shot and then burned the body of Nasir Johnson will spend the rest of his life in prison. The family also wanted to make clear that Nasir was murdered not only because he was gay, but also because his killer, who he was in a relationship with, could not accept his own sexual identity.
Sometimes I just force myself to go to sleep. My heart is so torn in so many pieces.
Since Nasir Johnson was killed in February of 2022, his family has been pleading and praying for justice.
Tonight.
Okay, so if y'all look at the pictures of these two men, Nasir looks like he's clearly out. You know, he looks happy, bubbly, flamboyant. He was living his best life until this Dusty came into it. And the man, Kylan, he looks like your average everyday hood dude that you would see walking down the street. Like, this is not a man that you would look at and be like, okay, he goes that way. And that's why we gotta stop kind of placing, yes, there are the obvious, there are the obvious people who are a part of that community. But as far as the men, guys, it's getting really hard to tell. I told y'all I used to teach at a high school, and you would be surprised at the amount of boys who played football or seemed like they were straight, who were would go into the bathrooms and mess with the gay boys, or had a girlfriend and then they had a secret boyfriend too. And it's so common. Like, your jaw would drop if y'all knew the amounts or percentages of young men that are going to school these days who are engaging in that type of activity. And I would just have to pretend like I didn't know or I didn't hear anything. But a lot of the times the drama would come into play when the boys who were gay would kind of get upset and then threaten to expose them, or when the boys who were gay actually wanted to be serious and wanted a relationship, and the boys that were messing with them on the low did not want that. And that's why I always say, like, if you're a part of the LGBT community, I don't think it's wise to mess with people who are not openly out and living in their truth yet, because trying to convince them to come out when they don't want to is a dangerous game to play. And a lot of the times the reasons why they don't want to come out are so strong that you're never going to be able to convince them. For example, a man like Kylan Pratt, his reason for not coming out is that he would want to still be able to have access to other women, right? A lot of times these men still want to be seen as respectable in front of other men, right? They don't want nobody questioning them or calling them a punk or anything like that. So it's like that, those motivations are way stronger than this man coming out so that he can stay in a relationship with you 9 times out of 10. So you have to know that that is just a dangerous game to play. If you see that a man does not, want to come out and be with you publicly, either don't mess with him, or if you're gonna mess with him, keep it under wraps. If they get to acting crazy, break up with them, get away from them. But all this messing with DL, that's dangerous. That is a dangerous game to play. You will literally lose your life playing with these people like that. Another story that I saw too. Now, do y'all know this TikToker? Again, guys, if y'all are coming in, please go ahead and hit the like button. This was another story that was interesting to me. So, okay, there is a popular TikToker who I do not watch, didn't know his name. I have a TikTok account, but I don't get on there like that. But apparently he unalived a therapist. So again, this is from On-Site Magazine on Instagram. So it says social media users believe a popular TikToker, allegedly the person of interest in the slaying of a well-known Baton Rouge therapist. William Nicholson Abram, a 69-year-old therapist from Baton Rouge, body was discovered wrapped in a tarp and dumped in a ditch in, I don't know how to say this, Tangipahoa Parish, Louisiana, on September 29, 2024. Abrams had previous allegations against him. In 2015, he was accused of groping an 11-year-old boy during a counseling session at his office in Baton Rouge. The incident has led to a charge of child violation. After the suspect's photo was released, social media detectives sprung into action, believing they identified the person of interest as the TikToker Prada. So basically, the young boy photo was released, I'm guessing, And they were like, "Oh, this
Sheriff's
is a popular
office is
TikTok."
asking for your help right now, trying to identify this man. Investigators say it's a person of interest in the death of a Baton Rouge therapist, Dr. Nick Abraham. Now, the sheriff's office believes this man was driving Abraham's car when he sped away from traffic stop, and crashed, and then later ran off. Dr. Abraham's body was found Sunday morning, if you recall, in a ditch outside of the village of Tangipahoa. Investigators say they believe the therapist was killed Saturday evening, and his body was dumped overnight. Now, the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office, the Baton Rouge Police Department are all working together on this case.
At this point, we don't know a motive. We know this was a very violent attack, and we don't know if it was, one.
Okay, so that's crazy to unalive somebody and then drive their car. That's wild.
Suspect or multiple.
Sheriff Sticker, they're saying no murder weapons have been found yet. Call Crime Stoppers at 344-STOP if you have any information that can help investigators as they work to piece this together. Parish Sheriff.
Now, it was, hold on, I'm going to try to find this on TikTok. I'm going to pull it up because basically his followers were the ones who got him caught up. Let me see. Now, I'm going to say this. If that man really was out here touching little boys, then I feel like free that man. Okay, he did a public service. He did the work of the Lord. So free him. if that's true though. Now, if it's not true, then I do feel bad for him. But what little boy go around lying and saying that another grown man touched him inappropriately? I'm gonna find. Okay, so I'm going to share this tab. This is on TikTok.
Don't do anything drastic unless you want to look like this.
This is the young
Take me
man.
to prison. Get me the out. Like, I just woke up yesterday. I woke up yesterday. I looked at the ceiling. I said, ah! I got bipolar. I'm bipolar. Yeah. Y'all never seen anybody that's bipolar before? See, I was trying to hide it, but it just slipped out. I was almost perfect.
So the boy clearly has some mental issues. You can tell he's the part of the LGBTQ. I wonder if that incident set it off, or if he was already that way when he went to the therapist.
But now I have to start over. I got to start from scratch. Don't do anything drastic unless you want to look like this.
Okay, cutting your hair all the way off. Oh, here's another one.
Sometimes I just be talking to myself and then I zone out. My therapist said that's not healthy. I'm gonna drink the Coke though. I love Coke. Not that type of Coke. I'm talking about this Coke. I love Coke. Wait, Shit, I got off track.
So he said he's talked about his therapist. So clearly, yeah, he was in therapy.
I'm gonna cut my hair off. Oh, I can't do it. I'm gonna miss my hair, bro. I'm gonna cut my hair
You know, it's so crazy to me how people will give an audience to somebody who is clearly losing their mind and continue to tune in instead of saying, I got to tune out of this mess. Like, bro, go get some help. And again, this is a situation where this young boy went to try to go get help, and the help hurt him, right? I think it's really sad. I think that people like that, a lot of the times people who are mentally ill and they have diagnoses, those are the easiest people to victimize. I talked about this yesterday. Because nobody's going to believe them. It's so easy to discredit somebody who has some type of mental illness, because let's be fair, a lot of the times, especially if it's severe, like if they have something like schizophrenia or something like that, a lot of the stuff is kind of like hallucinated, or they'll say a lot of crazy stuff just out of nowhere, right? But what ends up happening is the times where they're serious and they're making allegations and things are happening to them, nobody believes them, and predators know this. That's why I said the easiest person to victimize is a person who has a diagnosis or has already been victimized. If you have somebody who has already come out and made allegations that somebody has did something to them, if you victimize that person and that person makes another outcry, well, then the mentality that most people start to have is, well, this is not possible for this to keep happening to that person. But it is, right? Because predators are very choosy when they seek out their prey. They think about stuff like this. They are meticulous. And it's just unfortunate that they move like that. But what ends up happening is the victims suffer because a lot of times they're not believed, or the claims cannot be substantiated. So we had this young boy literally losing his mind on the internet, and we had people tuning in to watch it, probably laugh, encourage the BS, probably encourage the foolishness. And again, what I'm going to say is, if that therapist really was out here touching and groping and doing all that to little boys, that young man, Prada, that was his name on TikTok, he did a public work. He did a public service, and I hope that they put him somewhere where he can get help, because that doesn't mean that he won't go out and hurt innocent people. I think he needs to be put away and do something productive that's going to help him, that's going to help him get his mind back right. He said he has bipolar. He's probably going to end up being on medication. Hey P, what's up? Good to see you here. Peace and black power. Boy, why I read that in Uncle Ruckus voice? Like in my head, even though he anti-black power. But yeah, AP, we're just talking about the fact that Carisha is pretending like she got a new man. She pretending like she got a new man because she trying to duck this Diddy investigation. I think she's gonna get in trouble. I think she's gonna, unless she goes to them and she cuts a deal. I don't know if they'll give it to her. I think she's gonna get in trouble. They were saying that she pressured a girl to get an unaliving of a baby while she was with Diddy. And that's why I say this whole mammy mentality will literally put you in jail, like for real. And I hate to call women mammies, but that is so terrible. Like as a woman, I don't know any man that I've ever loved enough or was desperate enough for that I would step to another woman and tell her to unalive a child. You know, if anything, if I had an issue with it, which I would just leave the man. You and this lady, y'all figure that out together. Y'all raise your kid. I'm not going to stay in a relationship with you when another baby is in it. But I would never step to another woman and tell her to go put her body in that situation and go put the life of a child in that situation. She will have to tell or get in trouble. Yes, yeah. And from what I've seen and from what I've heard and researched, there was a window of time to come out and step forward, and that window has now closed. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't make some type of back deal offer for her, especially if she can come with something that's really going to help that investigation. But if not, it's up. It's up. And again, that's why it's just dangerous. Once you see people are into shady stuff, once a man got you doing something like stepping to other women, talking about unaliving kids, ma'am, honestly and truly, I personally believe that because of that, anything that she did, I'm really not trying to hear this victim stuff from her. I'm not trying to hear anything about her making it seem like he forced her to do anything, because we saw her going back and forth with Gina Hahn, talking down to Gina Hahn, calling her an eater, making it seem like Gina Hahn was below her and she was the bottom bitch or something like that, you know. And at least when I think back to Cassie, Cassie was always kind to people. Like, Cassie always kept it cool. Nobody has come out and said anything bad about Cassie. Like, I have not met one person who has said that Cassie has ever treated them unkind or did them dirty and behind Diddy, or you never saw Cassie in the news arguing with other women and behind Diddy, even though he had them. You never saw Cassie taking shots at Kim Porter, even though he was still dealing with her. Hey, what's up, Nicole? Good to see you here, sis. So I'm going to say, like, in that situation, I could definitely see Cassie actually being the victim. And people that were there say Cassie looked scared. Cassie would say she don't want to go with Diddy. Cassie would say, I try to leave, but he's going to find me. Her friends would say she would be trying to get away from him. He would come find her, right? He blocked her whole entire career from flourishing. But if Young Miami was really out here talking to women greasy like that, disrespecting women like that, bullying women in behind P. Diddy, that's another mentality that women have to get out of. Once you get put in a state where you got to compete with another woman just to try to keep this man or keep some spot, get on. He don't want you. He don't want you. He might like what you do for him. For example, with Young Miami, she was an opportunity. She was the younger person in the situation. She was more popping than him. She had that whole City Girls thing going. The City Girls was up. And Diddy being the Cassie was just in over her head. Yeah, she was way in over her head. Cassie got with Diddy when she was what? He met her at 16. She was already dating another producer. Diddy took her from him, but she didn't have a chance to begin with. She was a child when she got with this man, and she was a child in a relationship with a man who had all the power. She wanted to be a singer. And a lot of the times people can say, oh, well, she was desperate for fame. She was desperate to get on. But at 16 years old, first of all, your brain ain't even all the way developed. I've said this before. My 16-year-old self ain't touching my 31-year-old self right now in terms of understanding, experience, and maturity. There are a lot of things at 16 that I thought I knew and understood, only to have lived my life and got to 31 and realized I didn't know shit about the world. I didn't know anything. So you got this young girl who has a dream and she has hope and she has aspiration. And you got somebody like Diddy who, before he even met her, he had been running game for years. This man been running game since the 90s. Hell, probably since the 80s. This man has been in this game, running game and having his way for years. She did not have a chance against the way he was coming at her. And also, he was a gatekeeper. A lot of people could not have got on had it not been through Diddy. And then when he decided he want to take you off the map in terms of your career, he can do that. So you get a woman like this, a young girl, and you get her entangled young with a manipulator and a narcissist and someone who has power. Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to get away. And she didn't get away until she was actually like grown in her 30s, and Diddy was already kind of losing some of his power, or there had already been allegations swirling around. His name was already dark and cloudy once she decided to finally leave that relationship. But then you get my Young Miami who enters the situation, and we've been heard about Diddy for years. Okay, I've been heard about him so-called doing something to Usher. Been heard about him so-called doing something to Justin Bieber. Been heard about how these parties go down at night. We've seen that any artist that has been signed to him does not flourish. They might have one good CD. They might have one good hit, but after that, it's a wrap. Diddy leaves a trail of broken dreams and promises wherever he goes. Okay, again, we can talk about Total. that white girl group that had that single, and I'm mad about that because I like them white girls. I liked Dream, then that He Loves You Not song. He destroyed that group. Danity Kane. I like Danity Kane. That first album, you can play it all the way through. Who else? All these rappers, B5, all these groups that signed to him, and their dreams just gone and shattered. So Young Miami saw that before she got with him. She's not a super duper young girl that did not know. Me and her are almost the same age. And she decided that she wanted to mess with Diddy because of what she believed he could provide financially. And because she wanted to keep her name popping. But what she didn't realize is that he needed her more than she needed him. And that's why y'all got to know your worth and the value you bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, without the young people that Diddy surrounds himself with, nobody is checking for P. Diddy. Okay, same thing with Drake would have been fell off if he wasn't collaborating with a lot of these young and upcoming artists, right? So in that regard, they're smart. Nicki is about probably like the only one who I've seen who like she do her collabs sometimes, but honestly and truly, she more willing to just kind of stand on her own as an island. And again, that's not to like big up her, whether you do or do not like her, that's your business. But I'm just saying, a lot of the times these people that are in positions of power will make you feel like you need them, when the reality is the only reason why they stay in power is because they have all these people who add value to them around them. Without that, who are they? Honestly and truly, would any of y'all be checking for a Diddy record? Would any of y'all have been checking for what was that drink he put out, DeLeon, that tequila? It wasn't even all that good. I tried it. No, but he had my Young Miami promoting it on Carisha Please and on her social media. So people were willing to go try it. They tried it, they forgot about it, and then he got into it with the liquor company. Yes, y'all make sure that y'all follow me on Instagram and also on TikTok. I'm the Thepassportsis. That's where I talk more about travel and living in Colombia. I have a YouTube channel under the same name. I will post a video on that channel this week. Good point. The youth keeps us relevant. Exactly. And you got a lot of people who they don't like getting older. They don't like aging gracefully. I'm going to say that. I think we've kind of been taught that if people aren't big up in you and giving you the same praise and seeking after you the same way that they did when you were like 20, 21, 23, 24, 25, then you don't hold the same value. But as you get older, you're supposed to mature and you're supposed to become more confident in yourself, to where a lot of the times that external validation doesn't necessarily matter as much. Diddy could have been behind the scenes, still funding these artists, but not having to be the dude that's always up in their videos, or not being so insecure that he doesn't let his artists get the shine that they deserve. And that's the problem. A lot of the times he never wanted his artists to get bigger than what he was, because he was just using them to help him shine brighter. He wouldn't even let his stepson Quincy have the career in acting that he could have had, because Quincy is young, he's handsome, he can actually act. I don't know if y'all saw him in the movie Brotherly Love that he did with, what's that girl's name? Keke Palmer, right? But he's a good actor, got the look for it. He could have went far. Diddy, always, when it comes time to negotiate, first of all, Diddy want to be on that pimp stuff and make sure he's getting a certain percentage, and always stopping and blocking his blessings, just like he didn't let him go be on Empire. Thank you, skinny boy. Hey, D. Malley, what's up? Glad to see you in the building. Yeah, so always blocking. Who's the one that raps? Is that Justin? Justin, the one that looks like him, but more like Kim Porter. His son actually is a better rapper than him. Always blocking him. So when you get around these men who are narcissistic, like P. Diddy, and don't want you to flourish because they always want to be the ones that are in the limelight or they want to be the ones that it's about, you're never going to win. P. Diddy would even go mess with his son's girlfriends, that kind of thing. There were stories like Lil Rob, when he went and did that interview on Tisa Tells, Diddy would just get upset. Like, let's say if a woman was checking for his sons more than him at a party or something, he would come home and lock everybody out the house. Like, can't nobody get through the gate, right? And he would do this for hours or days. So when you're dealing with that type of person who it's not necessarily about the business, it's about the attention of it all, you're never going to flourish. So Carisha seen all of this stuff happening. And in my opinion, she was willing to do whatever it took to get on. How you gonna be a city girl and you letting a dude like Diddy, who we've seen his track record, like we know there's no confusion. How you gonna be a city girl getting on an interview talking about you and Diddy fell in love? How do you even believe that a man like P. Diddy is capable of loving anybody? He ain't never loved nobody he been with. And that's the thing. A lot of these women, they want to play that city girl role. They want to act like they're, just so about that life, just getting the money, messing with these dudes. And a lot of the times that lifestyle was for survival. But these women don't really want that for their life, or else they wouldn't be sitting up here falling in love like with a man like Diddy or convincing themselves that he loved them. So they're preaching all these messages to the young girls, but they're not really living that. And I was so disappointed when she got on that interview talking about me and Diddy fell in love. Girl, and you claim that you're not with him anymore. So now you've had some time away from the situation. You still think it's love? Like, I can maybe understand if she was in the thick of it, but you still think it's love after months? I personally believe they might still be in contact to some degree. Smashing your son's girl is crazy work, right? And his kids are coming out and saying, y'all remember when that book Kim Porter's Words got put out? Now it's been taken off of Amazon, but they made that whole statement basically claiming that their dad wasn't abusive and none of that stuff is true. But there's plenty of people that were around that is saying it's true. And not only that, again, if your father is P. Diddy, and we've seen all his kids try to do all this stuff and it never works. It just never flourishes. And I don't understand why, because in an industry where there's a lot of nepotism, like a lot of the actors that we saw growing up in the 2000s, like that had that star power, if you go back and look in their biographies, they were children of famous actors. There are a lot of connections in the industry. So how you, P. Diddy, and your kids are not flourishing in their career? So I believe he was hating on his sons. I believe he really hated on the one that's chocolate that looks more like him, the one that was dating Lori Harvey, because he's like a better version of him. He's better looking. He's actually talented. He doesn't have to steal raps from people. And I feel like he was just jealous and wanted to date his girl. She was on her job. Ain't no way in hell she was in love with that ninja. Yeah, I think maybe she's trying to paint it as that. I think that was a mistake. I think in order for her to kind of make herself like look innocent, she wants to paint it as she was just in love. But honestly, AP, I don't know. Maybe she was like, maybe she really fell for him and had feelings for him, because again, you had her going back and forth with Gina Han. Now, if this is the dude that I'm just getting money from, sis, we can all get money together. It's enough money in this mug to go around. Okay. You get a bag, you get a bag, you get a bag, sis. It's, more power to you. I'm not about to be arguing with no woman or competing over who's sending the best birthday gifts over a man that got enough money for everybody to get paid. Because Gina was in the picture before Young Miami. So, it's not like she was taken from Miami's bag. I think she really did catch some feelings for him. And she convinced herself that he was gonna fall in love with her, because you also got to think about it like this. Until Miami, we never really just we never really just seen him doing all these cute little videos and stuff. Even with Cassie, like he would go out publicly with her. Everybody knew he was with Cassie, that they were in a relationship. But as far as the whole social media thing, we never really saw him do that with another woman. But what she didn't understand is that was just P. Diddy adapting to the times. You know, now you can't just pull up on the red carpet with your girl. Y'all got to do cute little interviews and stuff, cute little TikToks. And in each one of these, he was marketing a product. He was either marketing her because he was funding Carisha Please, right? Or marketing his pajama line right through her, or marketing the liquor, the DeLeon, through her. So I don't think she understood what was going on in her mind, because she was the lesser person. I'm going to say that she was the less popular person, or the person with the least amount of money. It's like, he put me on. It's like, girl, he was already on. You already on. Like, you could go get the money to go fund a podcast from somewhere else if you really, really wanted to, right? I'm of the belief that a much younger woman cannot truly love a much older man. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, right? Because, okay, y'all remember Celine Dion and her husband? So Celine Dion got with that man, I think she was around 17. And let me see. I'm going to look it up right now. But she loved that man. I don't think she's been with anybody since then. And he was much older than her. I think it depends, right? I think it depends. Because I ain't going to lie. I've seen some older men that look good and keep themselves together that I would date. Let me see. Celine Dion's husband. I think it's rare, AP. I think in the majority of cases that these women don't fall in love with an older man. Yeah, so there was a 26-year age gap. So Celine Dion met this man when she was 12 years old and he was 38. So he's a predator. Let's start there. He's a predator. I think that's why a lot of the times these men that are in the manosphere, I'm sorry, y'all, let me get back on here. These men that are in the manosphere will say, catch a girl when she's like really young, brain ain't all the way developed, right? Because it's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. Like, for example, Beyonce talks all the time about Jay-Z being the man that taught her how to be a woman. So again, if you developed into a woman on your own without the influence of an older man, then you'll know that life teaches you how to be a woman. Life and life experiences teaches you how to be a woman. Taking your L's and coming back from them teaches you how to be a woman. Learning yourself teaches you how to be a woman, right? But if you get an older man that catches a younger girl young enough, then she doesn't notice. She never developed through life alone and standing on her own 2 feet. So she's going to believe that this man made her who she was. Now, a lot of times what ends up happening, especially in this day and age, those girls begin to mature, brain fully developed, and they realize, hey, I need to break free from this person. This person is more holding me back than hurting me. But it kind of depends on the situation and the older man. How was he treating her, like, while they were together? I agree with AP when he says the best match is a woman that is 3 to 5 years older than the guy. I could see that. Yeah, I wouldn't go too much older, but 3 to 5 years, that's not bad. Honestly, y'all, and this is so crazy. So since I've turned, well, really this started when I turned like 27, 28. This is a weird age to be in as a woman, because all the younger dudes want you, right? And the dudes that are your age that do want you are already in relationships most of the time. And then you have that crowd of men who were 40 and plus that are newly divorced. They got married when they were like in their 20s, real young, and now they're in a divorce. But the problem is most of the time the dudes that are your age that are in the relationship is like that's really you can't really do nothing with that, honestly, unless you're willing to just be a side chick for years and years and years, which honestly I ain't built for it. I talk back too much. I'm not one to just be sitting up talking about some, oh, I gotta like hold my tongue or not expect anything because I gotta try to look better than your woman's at home. I'm not thinking about her. I don't care how the hell she act. I'm me, you know. So I just don't have it in me to compete like that, you know. But the older dudes that are usually divorced, a lot of the times they kind of come with some extra like baggage, or then you start talking to them and you be like, yeah, I understand why she left you. So then it's kind of like, and then too, that crowd kind of has let themselves go. They don't take care of themselves. So it's like you get to the point where you're me and you're 31 and the only people for you today are dudes that are like 27, 28, 29, 26, you know. So that's just how that go. It's a weird space to be in. And I've heard other women talk about that here in Colombia. Actually, it's very normal for younger men and older women to be together. Like, it's common. Most of the couples that I've just met walking around the street, the woman is actually older and the men are younger, which is crazy, but that's how it is. So when I explain to them this is not really a thing in the United States, you mostly will see like an older dude with a younger girl, if anything, or people date their age. They're like, well, why does it matter? You know? A younger woman can love an older man, but every younger ninja she is feeling will take precedence. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's just natural. Like, I feel like, especially if it's a woman that takes care of herself, then, you know, especially if you get with an older dude who stopped taking care of himself, or he get boring, or you can't go out with him and do fun things. Like, he's not lively, because there are older men who are lively, you know, who haven't just been like, okay, I'm just waiting to die now. You know, I think that type of older man is more likely to keep the attention of a younger girl. But young men, they don't even have to try to be that way or make the effort. They just are that way. So yeah, I think that is going to be more attractive. But I don't have field research because I've always dated close to my age or much older. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. I feel like I'm in this weird place, but I also, you know, it's kind of helped me keep a good mindset, because I've been seeing so many videos of women getting on the internet talking about how difficult it is to date after like 30, right? And I think part of that is because they're putting so much pressure on themselves. Like, for example, if you get to 30 and you've never been in a long-term relationship, or you haven't even had a kid, then I can understand feeling like sad. I can understand feeling like you're not where you're supposed to be in life. But coming from somebody who I experienced a long-term relationship when I was young, and I understand that the grass is not always greener. And then even after that, like I had a couple of boyfriends that I was with for 2 years, right? And then I had my kid early. Like, I had a kid at 23. So I'm not in a position to rush. I'm not desperate. Like, I don't care whether I do or do not get married. If I have to like sacrifice the things that I want to do in life, which is like traveling, if it comes down to that, between that and getting married, I'm gonna go choose traveling every time, unless I can find a man who want to travel with me, or he don't care if I go travel by myself. So I have things to me that are more important than getting married, so I don't feel that pressure. I've already had a kid. I already know the responsibilities that come along with good parenting. So I'm not desperate to get with a man just so I can have his kids. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's okay. It's even helped me knowing, okay, well, if you don't get married by 30, there are people who did get married early and they become available in their 40s, right? And if you don't want to date them, there are men that are less than 5 years younger than you that you can date. So I feel like my options are all the way open. It's definitely because of pressure. Yeah, it's pressure. And I feel like my options are all the way open because I don't put that pressure on myself to have these things that society says that we should have, nor do I necessarily care if I ever have them, right? Because I've been doing this thing on my own for a minute now, and my life has only improved. The only time you start feeling that way is if you don't have things that you actually love doing that inspire you, that you can work on. Now, I'm human. Like, of course, as a human being, you gonna have your moments where you're alone at night and you're like, dang, I wish I had somebody. But then that's coming from feelings of like lust 9 times out of 10. But once you let those feelings and emotions pass, you realize, okay, well, just letting those feelings pass is much better than bringing somebody into my life that's gonna mess up my whole situation just so I can get a quick feeling, right? Most women I try to meet don't want to slow down and just get to know someone over a cool combo. Yeah, that's another problem. I got to give it to the men with that. You know, like a lot of the times women, again, the older they get, it's more pressure. It's kind of like pressure that you didn't necessarily have when you were like younger, where I feel like when we were younger, we would kind of chill down a little bit, get to know people, date a little bit, go around their family and friends. And yes, the women these days, especially the older they get, oh, if he ain't doing such and such by this time, if I'm talking to him and he ain't offered to go on a date with me within 3 days, then we don't talk no more. When it's just like, girl, just calm down. Go find you some other stuff to do. Maybe he want to take you out on a date, but he got other stuff going on. And in any event, y'all not together. Go, just chill out with him. Like, you ain't got to argue or cut him out or block him. Go date somebody else who want to go out on a date. Like, be low pressure with it. Another thing that helps women be low pressure is just don't sleep with nobody that you don't want to, or until you're ready to. Don't sleep with people just so that they can get into a relationship with you, or just so they can take you seriously, or just to keep your attention. Like, no, do stuff on your time when you want to do it. So if the situation don't go away that's in your favor, then you don't feel like you took an L. But a lot of women are trying to use all these strategies and tactics, try to compete with other women to get a man, when you can very much just kind of be like, I'm gonna do what I want to do and not feel no way about nothing. Or, okay, if this person, we're not in a relationship, if this person going too slow, fine, we can go at your pace. Maybe I can date somebody that's going more at my speed instead of getting mad and angry about it and blocking people, right? And again, there's balance. So if you're dating a girl and you dragging it all the way out, like if y'all been texting on the phone for a whole month and ain't met in person, who got time to be sitting up texting you? That's funny, Mariah. I've been seeing more and more videos like that. These women ain't playing about the first couple of days before blocking you. Yeah, that's crazy. And I think what we have to remember too is there was a point in time in history where people did not have cell phones, where you couldn't text anybody and get a response right back. And a lot of the times what the women don't understand is when you're so thirsty for a man to text you right back, that let him know you don't got nothing going on. Me, I can't text nobody right back. I'm sorry. I could like a man and be interested and want to meet up with you for a date on the weekend. I have way too much going on to be responding back and forth to text. So you either got to call me, and you can't call me every day because I got things going on. I need to be in bed by a certain time. Or, hey, we can meet up on the weekend. We don't got to be on the phone all the time. But yes, a lot of these women behave that way and they don't understand. You just look thirsty. You look like you don't have anything going on. And I don't care what nobody says. All of that, if people want to talk to you, they'll make you a priority. Yeah, but at the expense of what else? You know what I'm saying? Like, I could talk to a guy that I like all day long and be really responsive to his text message. There are some things that are very important in my life that are not going to get done. Also, yes, like, obviously those things take precedent over somebody that you're, just dating. But even then, even if I get into a serious relationship with somebody, I don't want to get off track. So I don't want to set a precedent that you're the most important thing in my life and everything stops and drops just because you sent me a text message. I come from the flip phone era. I had to call my girlfriend after 9 when my minutes were free. Good smacks rushes emotions, real and fake. Yeah, no, I think so too. And I think as women, that's why, I don't know if you were watching at the beginning of my live, AP, I was talking about this dude, and I'll read it again. it again. So basically, y'all know how everybody is talking about this whole go overseas because the women are more fit and friendly and treat you better. Well, I'm in several expat groups on Facebook in Colombia, and y'all, these men be doing these women greasy over here, right? Well, first and foremost, Colombian men will tell you these women be talking to them greasy and yelling at them and cussing them out, and like they will be screaming at the top of their lungs on the phone. So thinking that you're just gonna have peace all the time in a house with a Latina woman is wild to me. I'm not saying all are the same, but I'm just saying it's not going to go how you think it's going to go if you feel like you're just going to be doing what you want to do and she not going to step to you about something. But this guy wrote, want to share an experience with a Paisa woman. Paisas are local Medellin people, local people from Antioquia, which is where I live. So it can help others if they may be in the same position and beware. I met a Paisa girl in May 2023 when I stayed in Medellin for a month. We did not speak same language, but hooked up all the time. When I left, she said she fell in love with me. Pause. So they didn't speak the same language, but they're sleeping together all the time. If you know Colombian people, they're real like passionate people, real up in their feelings kind of people. Even the way that they talk to you, you know, they're always like, que linda hermosa, like they talk to you like real sweet. So he said that's the first red flag. To me, being around these people, that's not necessarily a red flag. And also being a woman, now she may not have known him enough or not even know what love really is, but it's like, okay, you sleeping with this man every single day whenever you want to sleep with him. Of course, your feelings are involved. These chemicals are doing things in your brain. She might have really thought she was in love, right? What else he say? When I left, she said she fell in love. Okay. I came back in February 2024 for Afterlife Festival, stayed in Medellin for 3 weeks only. I learned and started speaking a little Spanish. This time I met her again and met her whole family and stayed at her home for a week. When I came back to Canada, she stated she wanted to marry me and wanted a relationship, even when we did not speak the same language. Well, that's just common for women here to want to get married. There are women here that marry gringos that don't speak Spanish. I've seen it. I did not fall for that and kept denying it. I'm back in Medellin since September, speak better Spanish, but seems like this time she is with someone else, but denies that and still wants to talk to me every day and wants to meet, but not hook up. Okay, so this girl got with this dude. That's another problem that I see with a lot of the women here. That's why I'm a single mom. I'm not talking bad about single moms, but the single mom right here in Colombia is 84%. These women compete, and that's been preached as a good thing by men who are coming here and want to have fun. And when they try to compare it to American women, but these women use sex a lot to compete. So you having sex with this man, and in his mind, this is what this is about. And now you want to be serious. So now you cutting off the sex when, ma'am, you did it backwards. I told her everything that I felt and stopped contacting her. Ultimately end up blocking her contact through all mediums. So it's like she did all that feminine friendly, let this man have his way with her just to get blocked. Can't make this stuff up. But I think it was the sexual relationship that they were having that made her want to rush things or made her, pressure him to want to get married. And that's not what he was looking for. He's coming back and forth. He don't even stay here. It's one thing if you're sleeping with a gringo who lives here, right? But he's going back and forth and coming back to Medellin for festivals and fun. He ain't trying to get married to nobody. All women treat other cultures better than they treat their own, and I'm standing on that. Yo, I saw a video on Instagram. There's this guy who has a Instagram account, and he's Colombian, and he made a video basically showing this Colombian woman with, oh no, it wasn't that. He made a video, and it was a woman outside in the front yard shaking her butt as her husband pulled up, and the caption said, how American women greet their husbands when they come home. Right? So the woman's excited, shaking her butt. And then the next image was a Colombian man coming through the door and automatically getting cussed out by his wife. And it said how Colombian women greet their man when he comes through the door. So these problems are everywhere, y'all. She might be burning. What you mean she might be burning? What that mean? What you mean by that? In my experience, women don't want to give the time of day if I'm not sexually attracted to them initially. So are you saying that if you're not trying to rush sleeping with a woman, or that you're not ready to talk about having sex, like she don't want to continue talking to you, she doesn't want to continue talking to you? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, and it was so funny. And you know what's crazy, when we talk about it on YouTube, I think everybody's in their own bubble in social circles. So I hear all these comments of, oh, they don't do this in other cultures, or the men never talk about their women in other cultures. And then it's like, well, yeah, you don't think that because you're not in those cultures. You don't live in proximity to them. You're not talking to them. I bet you Colombian people are not paying attention to the conversations that African American people are having in America about each other. It's not in their algorithm. If I'm not their type, they're not trying to hear anything from me. Okay, I get it. So you're saying if the women aren't attracted to you initially, then they don't want to talk to you. But honestly and truly, D-Mally, I'm of the belief that people, and I'm trying to think about myself, because what I was attracted to at 18, I was no longer attracted to at 25. And what I'm attracted to at 31 is what I'm like the dudes I was attracted to at 25, I wouldn't date. A lot of times what you're attracted to does come down to like body chemistry and physiology. For example, me personally, I know this sounds shallow. I will not date somebody, especially knowing that I might have kids. I'm not going to date somebody who I feel like if we had a kid, the features wouldn't go together. I'm just being honest. And to me, and to some people that might sound shallow, but I'm saying this as somebody who understands that people get treated a certain way depending on how they look. So, for example, when she was 7 and them tell women, it don't matter if the man look broke down, he unattractive, he ugly, date him for his money. I automatically think like, okay, well, you're a woman. You know that in society we are whether or not you get a job depends on how you look. A lot of the times I've gotten jobs just solely on my looks, right? If you have a daughter, you gonna make her suffer in life because you thinking about the bag right now. So I don't date people who physically the features don't make sense. That don't necessarily mean that the dude looks like Brad Pitt. It's just, can I put these two features together? So for example, if you see my daughter's father, he's not like, he ain't, I mean, it depends. Some women think he looked really good. To me, he's just average looking, but he had features that I could already see would go really well with mine. It's funny because most of these folks talking don't even travel. I've been all around the Caribbean and I've been to Mexico. Yeah, people don't travel. Like, they just be talking, or they travel and they only go to the tourist areas where people are going to be really kind to you because they know that you're coming with those American dollars. That's not real life. The women that wanted to stop having sex when he returned to Colombia might have been burning. I don't agree with that, AP, because here in Colombia you can just go to the drugstore and get some antibiotics for that. You don't. I mean, it's so easy and cheap. You can just go to the doctor. Like, I don't think that she would just be like, oh, I'm gonna stop sleeping with him, or like, if he probably told her he was coming before he came, she probably had a couple days to go get on her little prescription, and come up off of it. He's saying she didn't want to sleep with him at all. Y'all, in Colombia, it's so easy to get whatever you need. You don't have to go to a doctor. You don't have to go get a diagnosis. You don't got to wait on no prescription. If you're burning, a lot of these men in the expat community will tell you they just go get them pills or go get them a shot. And the pharmacists here are licensed to distribute those shots here. So healthcare is a little different here. So I could see why you were saying that. I just think it was more on some, okay, you don't want to be in a relationship with me, then I'm going to stop having sex with you, but I'm going to be around you. I think she was using it more as a tactic. It sounds shallow, then I'm shallow too. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the reality of life. When you have kids, you have to think about your kids' future, right? It can't always just be about what I've seen men that, you know, to me were attractive, or I liked them, or I thought they were handsome, but I was like, oh, if we have a kid, it's not going to go together. Like our facial features are not going to mix. So I can't date you, boo. Our baby would look crazy. Who? What you mean we talking about our baby? Who baby? Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, they're going through it over here. Same problems African American people having a relationship, other people having in relationships. Like it's not real life. A lot of the stuff people talk about on the internet. But y'all, that's pretty much all I wanted to come on here and talk about. I went past my lunch hour. I'm going to get back on here tomorrow. I got to figure out what to talk about. Y'all leave me a comment in the description box. Also, I'm working on my website. So that should be up by December. My friend, Michaela, from Picture Me MK on Instagram, she's actually working on it. We're getting it together. So by the time that launches, I have a book on there. You'll be able to book any type of consultation calls with me. And I'll also be doing my traveling on there for my clients. So yeah, that's coming soon. So y'all be on the lookout for it. Please go ahead and hit the like button. If you've been watching me, but you haven't subscribed, what's the hold up? Might as well. Don't be a ram in the bush. Come on, subscribe. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Thank you everybody who showed up, showed love, and showed support and made this live popping. Y'all had a good afternoon.